Hi, thanks for tuning in to Around the World in 80 Oysters, an international show about oyster culture, cuisine, and appreciation. I'm Julie Chu. I'm the founder of In a Half Shell, a guide to the world's best oysters and the most interesting oyster people. So I'm here in Brooklyn, New York, stuck inside, and today we are going to virtually visit Norway, a country that I had the opportunity to check out last summer, where we did this amazing trip to the Lofoten Islands and got to check out some of the seafood scene in Oslo. So I have with me Aksel Steen, who's the co-founder of Eff Eff Oyster and Wine Bar, which is the first of its kind in Oslo. I'm going to bring him on stage. Hey,
Hi.
Axel.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. So, for all the viewers out there, I encourage you to ask Axel any questions in the comments section in either Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching. And at the end, we'll definitely try to make sure to answer some of those. Cool. So,
Cool.
yeah, where are you dialing in from? You look very comfortable.
Yeah, I'm dialing in from my home at the moment. The Oyster bar is fortunately closed, but we hope to open next week. So
Great.
things are gradually becoming a little bit more positive here in Norway.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm going to actually share a quick Google map for people to just know, kind of familiarize yourself with where we are or where you are. You see that? Zooming out, I had pre. So tell me, while we get into this, can you tell me a little bit about how you started this business, how you got into the restaurant business?
Yeah. So I went to law school. It was fun, but it wasn't that fun. And we had a summer, me and one of my childhood friends who has been in the industry for almost 10 years at that point, and we had this restaurant idea. And I don't know really how we got to it, but we ended up opening a restaurant in 2016, and we decided really early on that we wanted oysters in our restaurant because we felt it was few restaurants, maybe only the French ones who had it at the moment, and we
Right.
felt that people should eat more oysters already then. And then I guess we wanted to open something else, and first it was just a wine bar, and we didn't really think that oysters could be even a thing for Oslo. But we took the chance and got to know a producer just a couple of hours outside Oslo, and then it just felt like
Oh yeah.
match made in heaven. So
Where are the local oysters
it's
coming from?
you can go a little bit west. It's
So let me zoom out for a second.
yeah.
Okay.
It's down by the city called Kristiansand. We can see almost
Here.
on the south tip there.
Yeah.
So this is an area where I spent a lot of my summers, and I remember also, like from an early age, I collected oysters and put them on the beach near my summer cabin.
Oh.
But that was to try to make pearls, I remember. So I guess I have had a long-standing relationship with oysters in general.
Very cool. And now are these is this, the only place where you can find
No, you can find it
local?
all along the coast,
Okay.
especially on the west coast there. There's a lot of up by Bergen. It's really good quality oysters, especially flat
Ah,
oysters. But the Pacific oysters have taken over the south coast mostly.
got it.
And and it's long north. The waters are usually pretty cool, so the quality is also good, and they also stay, or they can also last for a longer time in the fridge, for example,
Sure.
since the quality is good, so it's easy to serve fresh oysters for us.
Now, when I visited Oslo, I was pretty blown away by just the quality of all the seafood, like the local
Mm,
seafood that I found.
yeah. Mm,
It was just so delicious. It was so fresh, and it just had so much flavor.
mm.
I'm curious to know, like, has has seafood first and foremost been a big part of Norwegian cuisine, and have oysters been part of that historically?
I think oysters on maybe. I mean, I think if fish and especially cod is a big thing of Norwegian cuisine, daily cuisine, and also for the holidays. We have stuff like lutefisk, which is fish which is conserved in some kind of chemical. I'm not sure the English name, but it's almost like a paint thinner or something.
Okay.
Which is a Christmas thing. We also have the dry cod stockfish for bacalao and a lot of those. There's a lot of tradition with cod. With oysters, I think there had been farming oysters in Norway for at least 100 years, maybe 150 years, which I read somewhere. But it hasn't been. I think it was more popular around like 100 years ago, and it kind of died a little bit out. But it's coming a lot back when people are out traveling, going to France and maybe New York, and see the scene there. And we were surprised to see that there actually is a lot of oyster eaters or oysters enthusiasts in Oslo when we opened. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So
you build it and they come.
yeah. So we were a bit surprised, and we were hoping to sell 200 oysters a day, but we've been doing more than 300 a day. So
wow. I mean, yeah, when I went, you were just open for like less than a month, maybe a few weeks at the time. So that was in September. And I know I'm before COVID, you saw a pretty steady growth of customers coming in? Did you have regulars, or were there new people?
We have a lot of regulars, a lot of new people, which I haven't even seen in my other restaurants, which I thought were going to have a lot of spillover from there. But a lot of new people, a lot of people coming alone, having 12 oysters and leaving in the 15 minutes, which I love. And but we had some negative press because there was a norovirus outbreak in some oysters, which was delivered to a lot of Oslo restaurants, luckily not ours, which had stopped the momentum a little bit in November. And but it's been steady, and we're pretty happy. So we really hope that can open now in the summer to get nice weather, because we love to sit outside and have beer.
Sure.
So really need that.
Well, tell me more about the regular oyster customers that you see. Like, do you see any commonalities between the people who tend to love the oysters the most in Norway?
Well, I actually had a lot of Americans based in Oslo coming in, because I think Americans have a special relationship with oysters. They have this one lady who comes in every other week and has 12 flat oysters and leaves again. So there's a lot of these coming alone. I really like that. There's also a lot of people who just want to learn. So maybe we created a hype and people want to join it. And so it's really diverse how people come and eat. Maybe people just take one because they feel like they have to. But I think in general, people eat between 6 and 18 oysters. So I had people who, like I had a couple of women who had almost 50 oysters in an hour between them. Yeah, so I'm really surprised at the amount of oysters people eat here. So that's been really funny. And we also did. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Finish your thought.
No, I'm really surprised how the quantities that people eat, because I feel like in terms of how many oysters we sold there, on average more than two or three per person, I would say. So
well, it's also surprising. Quite expensive, right? It's not cheap.
Yeah, it is. It's we do about in dollars. Maybe what can I say? $5 in oysters. No, I'm not sure about the exchange rate.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not the cheapest thing, and it's also maybe considered more like a bourgeois highbrow thing with oysters. That it's more for the upper class in Norway than in France, and I guess in America as well. It's been associated with champagne and stuff, and we try to take it back to its roots, where it's it's the simplest food you can have. It's made in the ocean, and you just need to open it, and then there you go. So it's nothing. It's not that fancy, I would say.
Absolutely. Well, I have pulled up these photos that I took, when I came into your bar last summer, and this is the one on the left is of your local. It's not the flat oyster. It's actually a Pacific, right?
Pacific
That is a
oysters,
Pacific oyster.
or the giga,
Yes.
which is called, which is a wild oyster, which we have our supplier, which he collects up and down the south coast and brings back to his farm. Actually, he has a farm down by the shore, where he puts them in the water, in waters where it's good flow of water and the right salt, the right amount of salt in the water to make it taste good. And then he rinses them for a week or two, and then he ships them to us. So it is wild oysters, but the way he cultivates them, or the way he treats them, makes them taste a lot better than other wild oysters in Norway, I would say. And it's also funny because they come in different sizes, and they also quality is also a bit different from oysters to oysters. So it's always a bit funny to open them.
Right, like not perfectly shaped because they're just growing out there in the wild. Well, so the Pacific species is not actually native to that area, right?
No, it's not native to Europe at all, but it has become the most popular ones all over Europe, I would say. But the flat oysters is the European oysters, and they are, of course, flat and a bit more round in their shape, and they have a pretty specific metallic or mineral taste to it. So, which can be, some people have said that it's like eating or drinking battery acid, but I wouldn't go that far. But it's pretty metallic. But
battery acid.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there so most people in your restaurant, or maybe across all seafood restaurants in Oslo, they tend to find the Pacific oyster over the flats. Yeah.
It's I think the last couple of years Norwegian oysters have come back in the restaurants, but it's usually been French oysters.
Okay.
In the restaurant in Oslo, Findekles and Girardeau's and the classic ones. But when we found this supplier, we decided just to go with the Norwegian oysters. At Eff Eff, we have a different selection just because we think it's more fun, and if people like to try the different things and almost have like a tasting menu or a taster pack of oysters.
Do people like to keep track of the different flavors?
Yeah, they love it, and especially when we can tell them a little bit of it, about the different flavors, and also seasonally. I hope now we've only been open for a couple of months, but it'd be nice to see how people. I mean, the winter has been. I mean, in Norway we like to eat seafood in the summer for some reason, which is stupid because the seafood tastes are not the same quality.
Yeah, but, same here. I don't know why people associate summer with seafood. And it's like
but it has been good quality, and we're really happy with all the quality. So it's been easy for us since we often sell out, so then it's easy to always have fresh stuff. So
now tell me, so back to the oyster farms. Have you been to the farm?
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. We went there and stayed there for a couple of days. I'm actually going down south tomorrow, so hopefully I can go by his place and pick up a couple hundred, because we're opening next week. So pay him a visit and see what he has. So he has both flat oysters and the Pacific oysters. So
I see. Is your supplier unique in that? I guess are there many sort of in the same area, or are there just a few?
No, there are just a few. There's some on the west coast, smaller ones also, both pickers and growers. But there's not that many at the moment. There's him, and there's one a little bit bigger supplier, which is closer to Oslo. We both do it the same way. They go out and pick it and take it out and rinse them. So there's no no bacteria or algae in them.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. And are cooked oysters popular, or are most
yeah,
people just eating them raw?
they are. We're trying different varieties. We started making our own version of oyster Rockefeller,
Uh-huh.
mostly to help him out with all the big oysters he had, like
Okay.
oysters that are maybe too big for most people to eat. So we've been selling those, and they've been really popular, and they've been very good as well. So we're trying different varieties. We had the Mexican one, and we're experimenting in a huge success actually. So open to expand on that. We made some other dishes with oyster. We made some ceviche style, and yeah, we're trying different
Okay.
flavors. Grilled oysters, of course, it's really popular. So blue
Okay.
mussels is really popular in Norway, and when you cook the oysters, it can sort of remind you of blue mussels. So I think that's also why it's been popular.
Right. Right. Now, are you like the cooked varieties? Were you saying that they have historically been popular in Norway, or are you kind of doing something new that
Uh,
others haven't done?
I guess people, because of the risk of the algae and the viruses and stuff, I think
Mm.
when earlier when I used to pick oysters at my summer cabin, my father used to take them and cook them and use them in a stew or whatever. So
Okay.
I guess it's more natural to Norwegians to cook them than to eat them raw.
Yeah.
But now in the new modern era of oyster in Norway, I hope that people eat it more raw because I think that's the best way to do it. But definitely, there's no shame in grilling or cooking the oysters.
Yeah, very cool. Now, you have a quite a impressive wine selection at your place too. So, are there any popular pairings or
Yeah, we have
besides the
been
champagne?
trying. Yeah, champagne, of course. We also do with the classic French pairing of the Muscadet wines.
Okay.
Um, we have trying to do more and more with natural wines and pet nuts and stuff like that, which has been really popular. One of the co-owners is part Irish, so we have done the
Ah,
Irish tradition of having stouts or Guinness with the oysters, which also has
ooh,
been
yeah,
popular, or people at least want to try it.
that's fun.
And we also been experimenting with ciders because we have a local producer who makes really nice natural ciders.
Yeah.
And I think that works good. I think a little bit of sweetness in the wine or in the cider can often be good, and to go with the sweetness of the oysters often.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think except from maybe really tannic red wine, I would can drink whatever
It's
for
pretty
an oyster.
flexible.
But yeah, but
Do you,
definitely, something sparkling is the
it's
best.
very nice. Yeah, that tends to be my favorite too.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if Norwegians have any misconceptions about raw oysters that you find surprising or
Well,
annoying.
well, I think definitely the virus threat
Okay.
is I don't know. I think the Norwegian media likes to go after the go after oysters because of the virus threat, but I don't see the threat as any bigger than eating other or raw food. But luckily, sushi is really popular in this country, so I guess it helps out the people to understand how you can eat. You should eat raw food as well.
Sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of people who needs a lot of explanation how to eat oysters as well. So we're doing public service to educate people. That's for sure.
Fair enough. Do people
Mm.
understand that they are healthy for you or that they're sustainable?
Yeah, I'm trying to tell them that all the time that
Ah.
to have an oyster a day. I haven't had an oyster in a couple of weeks now. Maybe that's why I'm feeling a bit down.
Uh-oh.
But definitely, well, people go around think it's funny that it is an aphrodisiac or whatever. But I always stress the point that it's really healthy for you. It has a lot of minerals and
Yeah.
you always feel good after having an oyster, I would say.
Oh, sure. I agree. Okay.
It's something about the taste and the freshness, and yeah.
It is. Well, I mean, I think some people don't realize that if you are shucking an oyster, it's pretty much alive until that point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think the vibrancy of something like being so freshly killed sounds so morbid,
Yeah,
but you know
yeah, yeah.
that gives
Yeah.
a different impression. So I have a question from one of the viewers, Mike. Thanks for tuning in. So he's asking, when you say farmed, you mean raised in baskets and then tumbled, or raked and hand picked? So what are the oyster farms like?
Well, there are some who raise them in baskets, mostly for the flat oysters or only for the flat oysters.
Okay.
So there's still a lot of wild flat oysters as well, but there's more farming of those, especially on the west coast. I think there's a couple at least, which I've talked to briefly last year. But mostly for the Pacific oyster, they're raked, handpicked, and put in different baskets, and then later rinsed and sold, as he said in the last sentence.
Got it, but it's really put in containers to just keep them there and kind of clean them.
And
They're not...
and then to sell and market when they feel the quality is good enough already.
Well, so they don't need to actually plant oyster seed.
No,
like the Pacific oyster seed, they just repopulate themselves.
Yeah. So at the moment, there is it's still a really business in development. But like my guy, he wants to really farm them from the start almost.
Yeah.
But he has had some problems with the government and authorities at the moment. So hopefully, when we get more knowledge of the farming situation, they will start doing that as well. And I hope, because it often becomes better quality in general.
Now, you guys, do you have an oyster season, or do you expect to be available year round?
Well, I think just in terms of the water temperature, I would say the season is really long, from September until maybe early June. Depends on how. But I think the oysters are good all year round. But of course, when the colder water, I think from my taste, I think it's better. But we also have some of the wild oysters in the winter have mixed milk, I think, because they start to what's the word?
The spawn.
The spawn. So they can be a little creamy in taste. I mean, some people like it, some people don't. But it goes from batch to batch, so I don't really see that a problem. But when you get a really clear, big mussel, it's the best.
Got it. Very cool. So I think we're basically out of time, but I have one last question, which I love asking everybody, is if you could visit anywhere in the world to try their local oysters, where would you like to go first? One place.
It has to be the States at the moment, because I think, of course, we have some Canadian oysters at our place, but I feel and I see that there's so many varieties that I have to taste them.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of different ways to farm them, and in different waters. So I would really like to try that.
Okay,
and of course, sorry, just one place.
Yeah, United States is a little big.
Yeah.
Any state, any.
It has to be New York, Long Island, I think. So go out there. I've seen some shows, some YouTube videos, so I think I know where to go.
If you come to New York City, please hit me up. I'd love to show you around.
That's why to see you, of course, we'll go in there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about this. This was really fun.
No problem. And we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah, good luck with next week.
Thank you.
Bye. Cool. Thanks for tuning in. That was Aksel Steen from Eff Eff Oyster in Oslo. If you ever have a chance to visit Oslo, definitely go check out their oyster and wine bar. It's super cute. It actually reminds me, I can just see that happening in my neighborhood, and I wish it I wish it could, honestly. Please, somebody bring an oyster bar to Cobble Hill in Brooklyn. So next week, we are going to hear from Chef Polo Sia from Singapore's Humpback Restaurant and Oyster Bar, which is a really popular place. And then followed by Eamon Clark from the legendary Rodney's Oyster House in Canada. So I'm really excited to chat with those guys about the oyster culture and current situation in their respective countries. So if you like today's episode, please like, subscribe, share it out to your friends. Thank you so much for the people who are consistently tuning in. I know that this means a lot to me, and for you to take time out of your day. And then finally, I guess I should also say follow Eff Eff Oyster on Instagram. Almost forgot about that. They have a really cool feed. They do fun events, which is interesting to see. And then I just saw that they're also creating these oyster cult cards, which I really want one. I'm not even sure what that is, but I want one. And if you're craving oysters, go online, go to oyster.guru/shop to purchase oysters in the U.S. direct to go to your door. And then one last shout out for today, I suppose, is I'm actually going to go live on Instagram with my friends at Billion Oyster Project, because they're hosting a virtual oyster hour on May 7th in lieu of their in-person party, which has been postponed to September. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see me go live at around 5 p.m. with Maddie, who will just be talking about oysters some more. Okay, tune in for next week. See ya.